He's coming home. He's coming home, and it is not the man we want home.
Back and forth, spending time away from your family, that tells me there's a problem in the marriage.
And what about the marriage? We just going to accept that he doesn't now want to spend much time with Meghan Markle at all, and everyone's just going to pretend as if that's totally normal.
Meghan Markle may soon be facing a reality she never planned for. Prince Harry is not simply visiting Britain anymore. He appears to be rebuilding a place for himself there, one trip at a time. More visits, more family contact, more charity work, more reasons to cross the Atlantic. And while Harry keeps pulling Britain back into his life, Meghan remains in California.
No decision has been made on whether the Duchess of Sussex or their children, Archie and Lily, will travel from California to join Harry during the visit. Can I just say, I don't care, do you? Like, are we all just going to sign up for this merry-go-round time and again?
Before we get into today's story, I wanted to let you know that I finally launched my Patreon. Many of you have been asking for more royal family content, so that's exactly what I'll be posting there. Exclusive investigations, bonus videos, breaking royal news, and members-only discussions that won't be available on YouTube. If you're interested, you'll find the link in the description. Now, let's get into today's story. If Harry starts returning every few months, the real question becomes what kind of life he is quietly building when he gets there. Because this is not being framed as one isolated visit. Harry is expected back in September for roughly a week. And the bigger idea is that these trips could become more regular over the coming year. That matters.
He wants more of a foothold here, the source went on. More trips back, less courtroom drama. Interesting. I don't think any of us were forcing him into those legal battles. Do you? Do you think that?
Britain is starting to look less like an obligation and more like a country he wants to reconnect with, work in, and spend real time in again. And when a man starts rebuilding old routines in the country he dramatically left behind, people are naturally going to ask whether those routines are leading somewhere. Then there is Meghan. There is still no clear sign that she plans to join Harry on all of these future trips. There is no obvious picture of the two of them rebuilding a British schedule together.
It is understood that Harry wants to spend more time in the UK for several reasons. The money's run out. No one wants to hire me anymore. Meghan's an absolute bitch at home. Oh, no, they're not the reasons. He wants to try and see his father and his wider family more frequently. Interesting. He didn't care about that in the past, did he?
So, if Harry begins flying back every few months while Meghan continues living a California-centered life, how exactly is that supposed to work? Is this simply a married couple managing two busy schedules? Or are we watching their lives slowly split into separate lanes? That is a very different image from the one they sold when they left royal life. Back then, the message was unity. They were leaving together, building together, and creating a new future together.
It's looking more like Harry's goal and less of Meghan's goal. That could change, but I'm not so sure it will.
America was supposed to represent freedom. Britain represented everything they wanted distance from. Montecito became the symbol of the new chapter. But now, look at who keeps looking back. Harry is the one increasing his British trips. Harry is the one trying to rebuild contact with his father. Harry is the one making UK charities and old connections part of his schedule again. The clean break suddenly does not look so clean.
And spare me, Pete Diner, the idea that he's doing this because he hates the courtroom and he wants to see his family more. I mean, he's doing this out of desperation. Desperation because nothing has worked in Hollywood. He's got no work. Literally no work. No work in America at all. It all flopped. And he, you know, as we have discussed a lot, he does want to spend increasing amounts of time away from his difficult wife.
Of course, there are respectable reasons for Harry to return. He has long-standing charitable ties in Britain. He still has Wellchild. He has Invictus responsibilities. He has family there, most importantly, King Charles. Nobody has to invent a secret motive every time he gets on a plane. But the timing still raises a much bigger question. Why is the British side of Harry's life expanding now, just as the Sussex business story in America looks less secure than it once did? That is where this stops being a simple travel story and starts becoming a pressure story.
Trust me, this country, the disunited kingdom, we are going through a lot at the moment, okay? There's a lot going on. Like, seriously, the last thing this country needs is regular visits every few months from Mr. Culture War, Mr. Troublemaker, Mr. You're Racist himself, Prince Harry.
The California plan was supposed to turn Harry and Meghan into something enormous. Not just former royals living privately, but a global power couple with major media deals, prestige projects, business launches, and enough star power to build an empire without the palace. But huge expectations become a burden when the results stop matching the hype. Every project then carries more weight. Every launch has to prove the brand still matters. Every disappointment becomes harder to dismiss as a one-off.
Meghan's brand, it is toxic. It is something that repels people, and you can't rely on it to help you. It will bring disaster. That's what it will do.
And financial pressure does not mean anybody has to claim Harry and Meghan are suddenly broke. That is not the point. The point is the cost of maintaining the life they created. The house, staff, security, publicity, business operations, and travel. When you leave the royal system and make financial independence part of your identity, your own projects eventually have to carry the load. If those projects stop producing the kind of momentum everyone expected, the long-term plan becomes much more important.
But it really is pointing out just how much of a failure Cookie Queens has been. But look at this. According to the numbers.com and Box Office Moji, when you actually tracked the per theatre take for Cookie Queens, it is disastrous.
That is why the Cookie Queen's numbers matter in this bigger picture. One movie does not decide the future of a marriage or a household, but it can become another symbol of a commercial machine struggling to create real demand. The film reportedly faded to extremely small daily box office totals, dropping into the low hundreds of dollars, and, on one reported day, to just $58. That is not the kind of result anyone imagines when a celebrity connection is supposed to create buzz, attention, and packed screenings. The basic formula should have been simple. Meghan's name brings attention. Attention creates curiosity. Curiosity turns into viewers, tickets, and momentum.
If it wasn't for the desperate commercial failure. Because, of course, the commercial failures, the lack of being able to make money, continues to heap the pressure on the marriage.
But instead of everyone talking about a surprise hit, the conversation turned to how little money the screenings were taking in. That creates an uncomfortable problem for any celebrity brand. Publicity is only valuable if enough people eventually buy something, watch something, or show up. Now place that next to Harry's British plans. On one side, another American project failing to become the breakout success the brand needed.
Anything that you do with her is going to be a failure. I mean, just look at the things that happen with Meghan when she just goes to different events. She's had 3 major problems with A-listers. Martha Stewart, Kris Kardashian, right? And who was the third one, Dan? There was another A-lister. Issues with, I know, Kevin Costner. She brings trouble.
Yeah.
She just doesn't bring any goodness.
I mean, Gwyneth Paltrow too.
Say anything.
Even
Has
though-
there been one thing? Nothing.
On the other, Harry making it clear that Britain could become a more regular part of his life again. Maybe the timing means absolutely nothing, but it is easy to understand why people are connecting the dots. If the California reinvention is losing some of its shine, does Harry naturally start looking back toward the one world where his identity still carries immediate weight? In America, Harry has to create a role for himself. In Britain, the role already exists. He is still the king's son.
$58 per screen. I mean, it's a disaster. There has been some talk that Meghan will submit this film for an Oscar. But that's not a surprise.
He still belongs to a story that began long before Montecito or the post-royal projects. He has old charities, old relationships, and a public identity that does not need to be introduced from scratch. The moment he lands in Britain, the attention follows him. That institutional connection remains powerful, whether he likes every part of royal life or not. And that brings us to the marriage question. A husband traveling without his wife does not prove a marriage is in trouble.
Almost begs the question, why is he putting this information into the press? It doesn't make any sense. But if you look at it from the perspective that Meghan and Harry may be in conflict with his decision to go back frequently, or to the fact that he's even putting this out into the press, it could be a way to send a message to his wife that that is what we're getting ready to do. We're getting ready to go back more often because we're going to move back eventually.
But regular travel is different from one-off travel, when one spouse appears to be rebuilding a connection with the very country the couple dramatically left. If Harry spends more and more time there, people will ask what Meghan thinks about it. Does she support it? Does she want to go too? Is she comfortable with Harry becoming closer to the family after years of tension? Or has Harry decided that Britain is coming back into his life whether Meghan is enthusiastic about it or not? That last possibility would represent a huge reversal.
And what about the marriage? We just going to accept that he doesn't now want to spend much time with Meghan Markle at all, and everyone's just going to pretend as if that's totally normal. Oh, and by the way, the source adds, and he always loves seeing his family. Well, not William, not Catherine, the Princess of Wales, not Zara, and Mike Tyndall, not Princess Anne, not Sophie, not Edward. So who's he talking about?
Imagine hearing this plan 5 years ago. Harry says he wants to return to Britain every few months. He wants a stronger base there. He wants more time with his family. He wants British charity work to become a bigger part of his schedule. At the height of Megxit, that would have sounded almost impossible. The whole point was supposed to be building a future away from that system. Yet now the direction appears to be changing, not through one dramatic announcement, but through repetition. And there is another detail making the California future feel less settled. The renewed speculation around the Montecito mansion. The house matters here mainly as a symbol.
Quietly putting it out into the real estate world that really they want to get rid of this mansion.
They cannot afford that home.
For years, that property represented the success of the escape. It was the giant California statement piece. It told the world that Harry and Meghan had created a permanent new center of gravity far away from royal Britain. So when talk about a possible sale appears at the same time Harry is increasing his British presence, the image changes. Is Montecito still the final destination? Are they considering a different property?
So is it really a coincidence that as Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are quietly trying to hawk their Montecito home without putting it on the market and going through the embarrassment of having to do that, we learned Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, two of their sworn Hollywood enemies, could be looking to buy in the area.
Are they restructuring their lifestyle? Is the sale talk just another rumor? We do not know. And it would be foolish to pretend that speculation proves a move, but symbolically, it adds another crack to the picture of a completely settled California future. One major anchor is surrounded by uncertainty, while Harry is strengthening another anchor across the Atlantic. That does not prove he is planning an exit. It explains why people are wondering whether he is creating options.
There's a bigger reason why we're hearing about this that is not obvious, and I think it has to do with Meghan, because you have to remember we had been getting briefings on Harry and Meghan with contradictions for a while, and Meghan, I think, would put out something and then Harry would put out something that completely contradicted each other, and I think that's why he's doing it.
His relationship with King Charles makes those options more realistic. Harry's recent contact with his father was seen as positive enough to create hope for more meetings. That changes the emotional equation. Britain is easier to return to if every visit is no longer guaranteed to become a disaster. If Harry can fly in, see his father, attend engagements, reconnect with familiar causes, and leave without the level of chaos that once surrounded every trip, then Britain starts feeling less like hostile territory and more like something familiar again.
Trying to sort of suggest, oh, look, our kitchen has been updated, even though nothing has really changed. And Nancy Sidley pointing out, my girl Restine Dollface was right. Why would this be in a Realtor magazine? And there is the headline on Realtor.com. Meghan Markle starts her 45th birthday with a pajama party around the kitchen of $14.7 million Montecito mansion. I mean, there's no way that they need to write about it on a website like that, P. Diner, unless the house is going to be coming up for sale.
That is the strange part of this entire story. The country he once seemed desperate to leave is becoming the country he keeps finding reasons to revisit. And for Meghan, that reversal could be deeply awkward. The post-royal story was built around the idea that Harry had escaped a life that no longer worked for him. California was freedom. Britain was the burden. But after years of interviews, lawsuits, streaming deals, business launches, and celebrity reinventions, Harry is now deliberately increasing his connection to the old world. He is not doing it because of one emergency. He is trying to make the visits more routine.
That's not what Meghan is looking to do. I think at some point she may have to do it because Hollywood has given up on her. She doesn't have enough talent. She doesn't have enough je ne sais quoi to make it work in California. She just doesn't.
If Meghan wants the same future, there is no problem. But if she does not, somebody eventually has to compromise. Does Harry continue giving up the British life he clearly still values? Or does Meghan accept that a larger part of their future may now include the country she seemed happiest to leave behind? That tension could become much more important than any single headline. There are still major obstacles. Harry's relationship with Prince William has not suddenly been repaired. Catherine has not become part of some warm Sussex reunion, and the security issue has not vanished.
But again, he can fly in and out with no one having to know. Seriously, there is no need for these briefings. You are a private citizen. If you want to see your friends and family, not many of them want to see you, but if you want to see them, then fine, just come in, come out, zip it. Just like Taylor Swift does, just like Mark Zuckerberg does, just like Elon Musk does, zip it.
Harry is still trying to challenge the way his protection is handled when he is in Britain after losing his previous fight for automatic police security. Yet, that creates an obvious contradiction too. If Britain is still presented as such a complicated security environment for Harry and his family, how does he also plan to make these visits more frequent? The answer may be that he has found a workable middle ground. He does not have to become a working royal again. He does not have to move back permanently. He can simply fly in, carry out a few engagements, see whoever is willing to see him, and then return to California.
But all it does, it validates her failure. It validates that her name means absolutely nothing. It shows people that you can't rely on her to bring any good to a project. It shows you that anything that she is attached to will fail because she has the repellent effect. People don't want to be drawn to anything that she's, attached to.
If that model works, Harry gets something he has not had in years, a British life without fully surrendering his American one. And that may be the most important part. There does not need to be a dramatic press conference where Harry says, "I am moving home." There does not need to be some humiliating public reversal of Megxit. He can do it slowly. 1 week in Britain, then another trip, then Invictus, then charity work, then a family visit, then another event. Eventually, what used to look unusual becomes routine.
If that is truly what he wants, then maybe he should stop suing anyone who dares to disagree with him or hold him and his wife accountable. Maybe he should visit his family without briefing the press on his every move, only to turn around and complain that his privacy has been violated. At this point, I wouldn't believe Harry if he told me the sky was blue.
And once the routine is established, Britain is no longer just somewhere Harry visits. It starts functioning like a second base. So is that what he is building? If these were only occasional charity appearances, why is there so much emphasis on becoming more regular? Why talk about a stronger foothold? Why prepare people for a pattern months in advance? One possible explanation is that Harry wants everyone around him to get used to the idea. The public, palace, family, and Meghan all get used to the schedule.
Why would you announce all of this? Why is this information that we need to know about?
100%. This is all about managing the expectations, though, too, of the public, isn't it? This is what's coming. This is why it's coming. Look, we keep seeing, P. Dina, examples of the failure. Terrible examples of the failure.
Then if the arrangement grows even further, it no longer feels like a shocking change. It feels like the next logical step. And once again, money sits quietly underneath all of this. If the Sussex brand were exploding in America, the British pull would look less important. If new Hollywood deals were pouring in, if Meghan's projects were turning into undeniable hits, and if their business machine looked unstoppable, there would be much less reason to wonder whether Harry needed another path. But that is not the environment surrounding them now.
Prince is also hoping to return to Ukraine. Yeah, that really safe place in the coming months. So what happened to the alleged risk that was so great to Harry and his family? Did it ever exist at all? No, but it was sure convenient for Harry and Meghan at the time. Now that it isn't, poof, risk is a forgotten memory.
Instead, the Sussex story keeps returning to the same uncomfortable cycle. Huge publicity, huge expectations, then questions about actual demand. Cookie Queens was supposed to create a positive entertainment moment. Instead, its tiny box office totals became the story. Netflix never turned into the endless golden pipeline people once imagined. Meghan's business ventures can still generate headlines, but headlines are not the same thing as durable commercial success. And what is Harry's giant, independent American identity now? Invictus remains important. His royal background remains important.
Gonna start seeing him show up to more family events. Like Harry will be there without Meghan. So he's trying to integrate slowly back into the royal family and spending less time in California, but still saying officially he's in California.
But where is the massive post-royal empire that was supposed to make the old institution irrelevant? That question becomes harder to ignore the more Harry reconnects with Britain. Maybe that is exactly why Britain is starting to look useful again. Not because Harry suddenly loves everything about the palace. Not because every grievance has disappeared. Not because William is preparing to welcome him back with open arms. But because the royal connection is still the strongest thing attached to Harry's public identity. The more uncertain the California reinvention becomes, the more valuable that connection looks.
Harry is still continuing the battle, even though the visit last month, he now admits, went off with any security hitches. No, Harry, you can just keep doing what you did. You can come on. Actually, next time, please don't announce it. Don't tell anyone. Just come in, do your thing, leave. Seriously, you don't need security.
So what do you think is really happening? Is Harry simply trying to spend more time with his father and support the charities he still cares about? Or is he slowly building a route back into Britain because the American dream has not delivered everything he thought it would? And where does Meghan fit if this continues? Can you actually imagine her returning to Britain for longer stretches after everything that has happened? Does she eventually start joining him? Or does Harry's British world grow while Meghan's California world stays exactly where it is?
Harry being in America makes absolutely no sense. The man is a prince from the United Kingdom. What's his butt doing over here in America playing Disneyland? I've always said this, people. He's got no value in America as a prince.
That could become the biggest pressure point of all. Couples can survive bad headlines. They can survive failed projects. They can survive travel. But if two people start moving toward very different versions of the future, the strain becomes harder to hide. Meghan's public future still appears focused on California, lifestyle branding, entertainment, and her own commercial identity. Harry's future suddenly seems to include more Britain, more family, more traditional charity work, and more contact with the world he walked away from.
Yeah, Beyonce, we see there, Jamie Kern, Lena. I mean, there's been a load she's had big trouble with, actually. And the thing is, P. Dinah, most people don't want it to blow up into a public battle, so they don't say much about it. But I mean, we even saw it with Poe, the MasterChef judge recently in Australia too.
Those paths are not automatically incompatible, but they are not the same path either. And if the business side keeps disappointing, the difference matters even more. Every weak result puts more pressure on the next launch. Every costly year makes stability more valuable. Every failed reinvention makes the old identity harder to dismiss. Eventually, emotion and economics start pushing on the same decision.
California may offer a lot of freedom, access to A-listers when they're willing, which is less so now. Different commercial opportunities, but Britain is where his royal identity carries the greatest weight.
That is why these UK trips should not be brushed off as boring scheduling. The schedule itself may be the biggest clue. Repetition creates routine. Routine creates a new normal. And a new normal can quietly turn into a completely different life before anybody officially announces that anything has changed. September will tell us a lot. Does Harry return for the expected week, finish his engagements, and head straight back to California? Does he meet King Charles again?
Sources close to Harry said that no decision has yet been made on whether he will stay at Buckingham Palace during his visit. So again, that little dangling carrot of Harry at Buckingham Palace, something that destroys our view of the monarchy, sadly still there.
Does he stay somewhere connected to the royal family? Does Meghan come with him, or does she remain in California? And after that trip, how quickly does the next visit appear? Because the moment every few months becomes real, the entire Sussex map changes. Montecito is no longer the only center. Hollywood is no longer the only future. Britain is back in the picture. Charles is back in the picture. Harry's old charities are back in the picture.
Prince Harry now admitting his desire, his plot, his secret ploy, his plan. You can use whatever term you want to overturn the Sandringham summit and reverse Megxit.
And if Meghan is not beside him while those connections grow stronger, one question will keep following them everywhere. Is Prince Harry building a life that depends less and less on Meghan Markle? Maybe this really is nothing more than a son wanting more time with his father. Maybe it is practical planning around Invictus and charity work. Maybe every marriage theory is just noise. But when frequent solo UK trips, commercial disappointments, Montecito uncertainty, and renewed royal contact all begin happening in the same period, people are going to notice the pattern.
Prince Freedom Flight Harry is the biggest gaslighter in the world. This article says he wants less courtroom drama and he always loves seeing his family. The failed litigation was all his, and P-Brain helped portray his own family as trapped racists. He's an utter creep.
So watch what Harry actually does next. Watch how often he flies back. Watch how long he stays. Watch whether Meghan joins him. Watch whether Charles keeps meeting him. Watch whether the September visit is followed by another British trip before Christmas. And keep an eye on Montecito, too. Because if the California anchor becomes less permanent at the same time Harry's British foothold becomes stronger, this starts looking less like random movement and more like a transition. And if that transition is already happening, then the real question is not whether Prince Harry is going home for 1 week. It is whether he has already started building a way out, one trip at a time. If you enjoyed this video and want even more royal family content, don't forget to check out my Patreon. I'm uploading exclusive investigations, bonus content, and members-only videos that won't be released on YouTube. I'll be adding new content regularly. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to everything, the link is in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.